So, hello, this is Sunday Assembly Manchester. We are a secular community that celebrates life and we welcome everyone who welcomes everyone, basically. So, whatever your beliefs are, whether you're atheist, whether you're agnostic, it doesn't matter. You're just welcome here, where we try and wonder more, help often, and what's the one I missed out? Live better. Don't forget, live better. Very important part of it. And this is what we do. Part of this is to remember that we're alive. It's to gather on a Sunday. Now, we used to meet once a month in Manchester, and now we meet every single week during lockdown online at 11 o'clock. And we have people not only from Manchester, but right across the UK and often internationally too. So it's so wonderful to have people. And there are other Sunday assemblies. Some of those people are here now from Southampton, from Sheffield, from London, and then we've also got ones all over the world, and it's really possible to go and visit them all, particularly some of the ones in the States, because they're at different time zones, so you can have a couple in a day and go along and see what they're up to, talking about loads of interesting things. And what we wanted to do in January was to have something for you that could help you out with thinking of supporting you during this lockdown period. So we've been doing lots of different talks about that, and today is no different. Today we're going to be looking at adapting and adjusting by a man who can definitely adapt and adjust. And I might set him a little challenge later. He doesn't know this. I've just thought of it now in this moment, because I know that he's an improviser. And if anyone can improvise, then they can do anything, really. I mean, that's what everything's always freaking out now. Do you know what's funny? I do the Sunday Assembly. I'm Louise, by the way. Didn't introduce myself. I do Sunday Assembly, and there's literally someone delivering food to my house right now.
Someone is at the front door.
Someone's at the front door, and they don't know what I'm doing. They think I'm just talking to myself. They can see me through the window. It's a bit embarrassing, really. Who made a delivery when I'm sat here? So that's one thing that's happening. So without further ado, let's introduce our poets for today. A very lovely lady. It just gives me an excuse to deal with the door, whatever chaos is going on. A very lovely lady who is no stranger to us and joined us right in the beginning of our lockdown. Steph Lonsdale is here with some poetry for us. How are you this morning?
Hi, I'm really well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very, very welcome. So glad to see you here. I'm going to hand over to you. So go wild for Steph Lonsdale.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, that's really nice. So I've just got a couple of poems for you. Sort of on the theme of adapting and adjusting, but specifically to do with sport. I was talking to Lynn and about kind of today's speaker, John, and some of the stuff that he's going to be talking about. And he said, if you've got any poems that are kind of sportish related, that might be good. And I do, funny enough. I think one of the things about adapting and adjusting that I found difficult, challenging over the past year or so is that I very much count my life in like markers, like events, really. And obviously a lot of those have gone. And one of the ways that I count my life is through the World Cup. And it's kind of nice every time it comes around to reflect where you were at the previous World Cups. I mean, not that I was at any of the previous World Cups. I'm always just at home watching it on the telly, but you know what I mean, metaphorically, where you were. So this poem is called World in Motion. Count your life in World Cups. About 8 left with a bit of luck. 1 month to be reminded of that which unites us. Not league football, a narrative too long, too complex, too time-consuming, better things to be doing like reading and sleeping and watching workplace dramas and falling in love with characters that don't exist. Cheat. Wait for the highlights. Delayed gratification was never your thing. Devote yourself to the World Cup. Pick an underdog. Spend lazy hours listening to pundits. Getting older, you favour men in shirts to those in shorts. Watch each match. See hopes rise and fall. Gain perverse peace in knowing a lifetime's work can rest on a good ball and a favourable wind. Find it reassuring. Nothing as beautiful as a penalty shot and 2 men under a nation weight of expectation. Know that even at the top of your game, the fact remains it rests on luck. A split-second decision. 1 moment, 1 shot. We all mess up. And some of us wear our shame in front of millions, and some of us in private, in solitude, on the settee, watching a match. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so this next one, it's about one of my heroes, and he's been my hero for a very long time. I think he's a lot of people's hero, and in my day job, I'm a teacher. I'm a languages teacher, and this is one of my poems that is in 2 languages. So the first bit is in French, and then you'll hear it all again in English. So I don't know if there are any French speakers. If there are, please try not to judge my French too much. I've not been there for a while. Anyway, it's called La Belle et le Bad Boy. Consonant, mon roi. La première fois que j'ai dit votre nom à la classe de français à l'université, personne ne m'a pas compris parce que j'ai dit cantonard à cause du fait que je sentais que vous étiez de Manchester. C'était vrai dans mon cœur. Et c'est grâce à vous que j'ai lu Michel Foucault, ce monde de Beauvoir, que moi, une fille de la révolution industrielle, sentais une part d'une révolution intellectuelle. Pas sur les rives du Ship Canal, mais à la rive gauche. Et quand je parle votre langue, je me libère des chaînes de mon accent et ma classe, je deviens autre. Vous m'avez libéré. Et je sais que les Français adorent l'égalité, mais néanmoins, vous êtes mon roi consonant. Consonant, my king. The thing is, the first time your name passed my lips in the French class at university, no one understood me because I said cantonard. For in my heart, I felt that you were truly Mancunian. And to you, it is thanks that I have read Michel Foucault, Simone de Beauvoir, that from afar, I, a child of the Industrial Revolution, felt a part of an intellectual one, not on the banks of the Ship Canal, but on the Rive Gauche. Sorry, I busted that. And when I speak your tongue, the chains of my accent and my class fall. Long gone, I become another. You liberated me. And whilst equality might be beloved of the French, nevertheless, monarch mine, in my heart you reside. You are my king, cantonard. Vive la République. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Steph, as if I don't love you, even more than ever. And I also think it's absolutely hilarious that people were arriving during your final poem, and they probably thought that they were at a French Sunday assembly, and that's what I think is so funny. But hang on, what's going on? And I love this because I like to surprise people. They come in, they go, with Sunday assembly you never know what to expect. But it was beautiful and wonderful and made me laugh so much that in all that French there was Ship Canal and cantonard, which was enough we needed to know. Also, I don't remember what Cantonard said about seagulls. What was that amazing thing he said about seagulls?
Oh, it was when the seagulls follow the trawler, it's because they know that sardines will be thrown into the sea. It was his shade on the press. I think that's what that one was.
Ah, he was a poet.
He was.
Way. Thank you very much, Steph. Will you put in the chat box, please, any way to find out about your work? Because we would love to learn more, because it was brilliant. And thank you so much. Steph Lonsdale, everybody. Go wild, our poet for today. Love it. Love it so much. I'm going to just remove the spotlight now. There we go. Wicked. Awesome. So we've had... Brilliant. C'est magnifique, says Bill. Love it. Brilliant. Our cantonard, says Tony. Brilliant. Clap, clap. Just loads of formidable. Loads of people getting the GCSE or O-level French out. Tony says, really struck a chord with me. I'm 60 this year and a football nut. And I do often wonder how many World Cups I have left. Tony. I get what you're saying. I measure things in the Olympics. So it's all the same thing, isn't it? It did make me think, actually, what Steph was talking about an article that I read recently that was talking about lockdown and it being a little bit like a minestrone. And this is what the message said from the writer. They said, back in the pre-pandemic days, there were islands of experience which we would know that demarked time. So this is the suggestions that he's given. A festival, a birthday party, a wedding, or even when you got food poisoning. All these things would mark these moments of your life. And it might be something where you went to see a famous actor in a play, or that time you went round someone's house and their bookcase set on fire for no reason. These things mark the passage of time. Otherwise, one day feels very much like the next. And the writer goes on to say that the first lockdown was quite novel and a bit of a blur. So because everyone ground to a halt at the same time, it seemed quite exciting and different, and we're all in it together feeling. But as lockdowns go on and new ones come about, that there are actually nothing that marks the days at all. So he was saying it just becomes an unforgettable minestrone of intangible half things punctuated by forgettable Zooms and the occasional stuttering person behind a lectern. And then finally, this is what made me laugh most of all. Shall we alphabetise the bookshelves today? We did that yesterday. So life at the moment has become a sort of minestrone. What day is it? I was on the radio last night and I had to keep telling people it was Saturday night, but I didn't believe it. I didn't know what was happening. It made no difference what day it was, and that's the feeling that we've been having. So here at Sunday Assembly, we've been really looking trying to find ways to adapt and support you during this time. Feel free to like us on Facebook and join in, be part of the community. Our Sunday Assembly is just one of the things that we do, so we'd love to see you to be a part of all this. And I have had my bathroom turned into a zoo, into a vet's. Okay, and the reason I know this is because I woke up one morning and there was a line of stuffed animals all in a row going all the way down the hallway and going into the bathroom. And when I opened the door, I found my daughter sat on the toilet treating her pet animals as if they were sick in a vet's. And my son in the shower looking after many of the stuffed animals. Now, this was all very cute and adorable, and clearly they didn't feel there was enough room in the house, so they've taken over the bathroom. But it makes it impossible to go to the toilet. So maybe one day I will look back on this as a joy, but at the moment I haven't been to the toilet for 3 days. No, I have, but it's been very difficult because I've had a lot of stuffed animals looking back at me. That's my life. Your life, I'm sure, has its own bizarre moments, and we'll look back, and I'm sure we'll look back with joy, but there has been times when it's been hard. So I'd like to bring forward a man no stranger to making stuff up on the hoof. He's our speaker for today, which is John, and he's hiding from me, so I'm going to find him. But I'm going to regret this. This is John Cooper, everyone. He's our
Hello.
speaker. Hello. Steph's put her details into the chat box, so Instagram follow there, Facebook, or you can find her on WordPress right there. So that's how you get in contact. Right, I've got a bit of a challenge for you, John, and I'm going to instantly regret this.
Okay.
Okay, I know that you improvise with Comedysportz in Manchester.
Yes.
And I've been doing a lot of improvisation in lockdown, so I would like to challenge you to the questions game.
Okay.
I'm sure you know it. So we're going to ask questions to each other until one of us can't ask a question anymore. And I get a feeling I'm going to lose to you.
Okay.
Okay. How are you, John?
I'm fine. How are you?
Do you think I look like I'm not fine?
Do you want to explain the rules of this game to the audience first?
Shall I do that?
Maybe you should. Should you?
I think they're going to get the idea of this as we do it. But I will tell them that this is a game where we have to ask questions to each other until one can't ask one anymore. Isn't that true?
Louise, what are you talking about?
Why won't you play this game with me, John?
Who's that delivery driver outside your window?
Do you know him? His name is Brian.
I'm pretty sure it's Trevor, isn't it?
Why do you want to know about my delivery driver, John?
I think I'm expecting a package. Are you?
How do you know I'm being expected to have a package?
Oh, and I can't think of anything.
Yay! John deliberately threw himself under the bus there. So that's the question game. Thank you so much for playing that with me. Ladies and gentlemen, have a massive round of applause for the most multi-talented and also been put on the spot guy ever. Is John Cooper. Here he is.
Cool. Right, I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to share some slides with you. And I'm going to start my slideshow from the first slide. Not the last one. There we go. So, hello everybody. My name is John Cooper. I am a stand-up comedian and an illustrator. I'm doing at the moment. The other one, let's make a whistling noise as we hear out all of that work disappear out of the window. But yeah, so a little bit about me. This is me at the Comedy Store with a bunch of kids, making them make loud noises and do silly things, because that's the kind of comedy that I really like. I don't swear when I'm on stage. I just do very, very silly things. I'm better known as Danny Pensive, which is my alter ego that I do on stage, which is a Paddington-like simpleton who wanders onto stage, just goes hello, sings a song about goldfish, talks about playing hide and seek in supermarkets, and is generally a very, very silly character. And I've been doing him for like about 10 years, and I love that. Obviously, I've not been doing that very much, but if we go into the dim and distant past, I have been doing it for quite some time. I've been to the Edinburgh Festival for a good few years doing various shows. I wanted a diversion of whatever happened to the Likely Lads, because you can detect I've got a northeast accent. I'm from the northeast originally. I've done a variety of gigs over the years. On the left, you'll see me hosting a Doctor Who convention. I'm a massive Doctor Who fan, and this was a convention that was in Manchester a few years ago. That was one of the busiest ones, where I got to meet Peter Davison, which was amazing. And on the right-hand side is me just showing off, basically, at a gig called Joke Thieves, where I got to I stood on my head and did a 5-minute set, and the whole point of Joke Thieves was another act has to copy what you do. And you can imagine that the other act was only able to copy so much of what I did, which was me showing off. I mentioned I'm an illustrator as well. This is a picture from a course I'm running at the minute, which is all about getting better at using Zoom and using comedy during presentations, because I think we need a lot of comedy right now, and everyone's just a little bit zoomed out. So I developing a course to help people who have to now do a lot of stuff on Zoom to avoid Zoom fatigue, get a little bit better with the technology, don't worry about if it's going to mess up or not, and just get comfortable in this kind of porthole-like existence that we have at the minute. And I've tried to do some fun illustrations to go around that. Now, as Louise mentioned, I'm a member of Comedysportz. Comedysportz is an improv group. We do that was when we pushed each other. Remember that? We can't do that anymore. Comedysportz is a big improv group. Here's us in America. We travel there. It's a big network of people. Imagine what it's like to have a load of people doing improv comedy all at once. That is 2017. God, I miss those days where you could get on stage and do all that kind of fun stuff. If you're looking at my webcam window, you'll see I've got running numbers as well. I'm a big runner. I love running. Running is really good for processing thoughts. I do a lot of running at the minute because it really helps me with COVID times. Helps me think a lot and use my brain a lot and think about the kind of stuff that I'm doing. So that's a little bit about me. I'm a comedian and an illustrator, and I do both of those things. I do certainly do the illustration more at the minute, and I really miss the Edinburgh Festival. I really do miss Edinburgh. I don't think we'll have Edinburgh this year, which is really sad, but I am leaning more into my illustration because I have to, because sad times. We're coming up on a year since the streets emptied and everything went a bit quiet and COVID hit, and I've been lucky enough not to catch it, but obviously, you know, everyone's world's been pretty much turned upside down by scenes such as this happening, and I lost all my stand-up comedy work because obviously there was no comedy happening, so all the stand-up gigs that were there couldn't do. So I started drawing more just for me, just as a process. And I started drawing a little comedy strip called Distance. And I did one, and it was just kind of like, oh, this is me, this is me running and thinking and running. And I drew one strip, and it's kind of like, oh, that was good, I enjoyed that. So I drew another strip, and just did them one at a time, because it's like, there isn't a story, it's just what's happening now. It's just kind of a visual diary of what I can do, what I can't do, thinking about all my running mates, how we used to meet up and what we used to do, and just thinking my thoughts out loud. Comics are really cool for inner monologues. I think they're much better than books or movies. Even though you can do that, like in Blade Runner, where you hear them kind of like, "I'm a Blade Runner," and I do. You know, when you can have the person speaking over what's happening in the action. But comics can do better than that because you can have the contrast here, where the color image is like me thinking back to the past of how things used to be when they were in color, and then at the minute everything's in black and white. And I can write one thing in the text and draw something else in the pictures, and I'm treating it one page at a time, and that's kind of the point that I'm making, in that I'm not thinking too far ahead. I'm not trying to think of an overall. How does improv and illustration connect? It kind of doesn't, but there's a really important thing that I learned through the process of drawing this comic, and I take that from my improv teachings, which is one of the most fundamental things of improv, which is the word yes and. Yes and is a phrase that we use in improv, and we use it in comedy. And anyone who is a big improv nerd will tell you that, like, yes and is a big thing. You can take it into your life. Yes and is accept and build. Yes, accept, and build. Instead of going yes but or no but, it's like you accept the situation that you're in and you build on it. And you're very much about being in the moment. So yes and can be used in a scene where two people are doing comedy, like me and Louise were earlier, but you don't block and you don't deny. You accept. If someone says, "Hi Dad, what's for tea?" you don't say, "I'm not your dad, go away you weirdo." You say, "Oh, hello son, it's bacon and eggs." You accept that someone in a comedy scene has told you that you're the dad and it's breakfast time, and you play that part. You accept it. Something as simple as that. But it's a muscle. It's a working muscle that you can use, the yes and you can take it. There's a rule from improv called bring a brick, and I love it. And it's slightly relevant to this because today's theme, because it's bring a brick is, oh God, who was the person who said it? Bring a brick, don't bring the whole cathedral. I think not Viola Spolin, somebody else said it. But the whole process is when you're having a conversation with somebody, when you're going out into the world, don't try and bring the whole plan of what you're going to do with you. Just bring the little bit that you need. Just bring the one bit. And then let other people bring other bits and be collaborative in your thought process and work with people. And that can help you build towards something better than you trying to sort it all out yourself, because we can't do that at the minute. We can't sort everything out ourselves. We can't possibly fix everything alone. We need to rely on other people, and we need to kind of do what we can ourselves. Yes and of improv is really important. Yes and in improv has VUCA. VUCA, which is all about volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And then you get to the second version of VUCA. I'll stick these in the links later so you can have a look. The second version of VUCA is vision, understanding, clarity, and adaptability. And that's the thing that we're looking at today. Adaptability is resilience. If you can learn to adapt through building up your muscles, through using techniques like improv, you can develop a level of resilience that you'll need to go through life and succeed. There, boom, take that. And that you can do through improv and drawing. So then someone said to me, "John, why don't you put your comic on Kickstarter?" Now, I'd kind of heard of Kickstarter, It's basically a crowdfunding platform where you take the thing that you're doing, tell people about it, and I wanted to get my comic in print. And I didn't really think that people would fund it. The idea is, I thought, well, if I put up a Kickstarter to crowdfund the printing costs to get my comic printed, some people might want that. That might be all right. So I didn't really ask for much. I put it up there. I did a little video, said, "This is my comic. I'm doing it one page at a time. I'd love to put it in print. You get 30 days to fund it." And it funded in 10 hours. It funded in more than 10. It funded in like less than 10 hours. And I asked for like 400 quid and I got twice that. So there's the graph of what happened when I put it online. It's like, this is my strip. You will see it in print. And you'll see I achieved the goal. And I'm not telling you this to go, "Wow, look at me. This is an amazing thing I did." This was me putting out one little page of strip a day, and I appreciate not everyone can do that. Some people have their hands tied up with homeschooling and doing stuff with kids. I'm single. I've got a lot of time on my hands. This is just what I could do. This was just me doing my bit to share my thoughts, to let other people know, look, I'm in the same boat as other people. Everyone's having to deal with this stuff. If I can just put a little bit of love out into the world through drawing something, sticking it on Facebook one page at a time, then I will. And that was what happened. And it got, and I've had it reviewed, and people have said really nice things. And I'm now onto strip number 78, and I'm nearly onto volume 2. I'm nearly up to 100 strips by the time we get to a year in. I don't want to be drawing this thing forever, but that's where I'm at with it. And that was all just through doing stuff, one page at a time, a little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit. And adapting to not having any comedy gigs, but just doing little bits of what I could do, what I can do, adapting in ways that it's just like sitting and having a think, or going for and go, okay, what could I do today just to make things a little bit better for me? What can I do today? Not yesterday, not the day before, not worrying about what happened 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. Today. What's today about? So anyway, you in the future, reading this, whatever your story, I hope you're good. And that was my little talk. Thank you very much for your time. I'll stick some links in.
Very much, John Cooper, everybody. I want to ask you, John, about your comedy character, Danny Pensive. How did that come about?
Danny Pensive came about through sheer arrogance when I started doing stand-up comedy. And when I started doing stand-up, I was very silly and stupid. And then I got very comfortable and cocky and confident doing stand-up comedy, to the point that I kind of lost my innocence and charm and the thing that made it work for me. So I developed a character that was like me from the very beginning, where it was just like you walk onto stage and no one knows who you are. Because I think that's... And any comedian who walks onto the stage going, hey, I'm the big I am, has got it coming from the off. So I think low status is good. I think going on stage and just going, you don't know who I am, but it's all right, I'm funny. Let's just play with it, and setting the stakes really low. I think there's a lot to be said for that.
So basically you got very good and confident, and then you decided to get that awkwardness back yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Great. And we were going to make you be Danny as the poet and then change to John. But we let you off of that, but maybe, and I think you've been kind enough to say that you may come back as Danny Pensive.
I may come back as, it's best to not have Danny and me at the same time, because it's the old Ghostbusters analogy of don't cross the streams, because danger happens.
You can't. I mean, being in the room at the same time, that would just be really bad. Okay, let's get some questions then. Feel free in the chat box if you have questions for John to pop in. We've had a couple come in already.
Okay.
What's your proudest moment in years of performing improv on stage? Did you have this moment? Because improv is quite an amazing thing to watch. You never quite know what's going to happen, and very skilled people can make it look quite easy. Was there a moment that you had when you were on fire?
There was. Oh, it's hard to pin down any one, because it just all becomes a blur over time. Any times I've performed in America on stage with American improv troupes, they are all beautiful, because when someone gets trained up in improv, one of the most beautiful things is you can get up on stage with someone from another country, from another culture, from another background, and you can get up and do exactly what we did earlier, where you said, this is the game we're going to play, and you can play that game and people in the audience are laughing because you know the game and you both do improv. And the level of instant connection you get and the ability to communicate and be funny with someone who you have never met until you're standing with them on stage is beautiful. So anytime I'm in America, when that magic happens, is amazing.
I used to come along to Comedysportz, very much involved in hanging out with you guys, doing your workshops, and then when we went online, I just exploded. If you're interested in improv, it's all over the world. I'm on 5 different teams. I have a duo with an American guy I've never met, and it's all possible.
I think it's a very good mentally healthy activity to take part in at the moment, I think.
Yeah, it's like you just live in a different world for a bit and be someone else.
Yeah.
I think it was Del Close that said about the cathedral, but then he might have attributed it to himself. So I
think it might be. I think you might be. It certainly wasn't who I said it was.
let's have a look here now. Yeah, Judith says that she misses Edinburgh and she's been going for 30 years. For people that have not been, or maybe they've not had the full experience, what would you say about Edinburgh to people that's important?
Oh, Edinburgh, when it's in full swing, and it'll get back to that, is just the biggest cultural mashup of fun and drama and everything that you can. The entire city just gets immersed in it. It's hard to describe. It's kind of, I try to draw that thing where there's just a bunch of crazy people just to walk up and down the Royal Mile and just see, a pure assault on the senses is all I can describe it as.
And it's 24-hour party people. People will go, let's see a show. There's a comedian on at midnight, and then everyone's just like piling into all these places. I took a theatre show to the Traverse during the Edinburgh Festival, and people said, oh my goodness, you have mirrors in your venue, because obviously some venues are specifically built for the festival. And one actor that works on it, he used to say, meet me in my office, it's the Traverse Bar, and he was just there every night until 4 a.m. Amazing thing. Judith said that she's just showing off now. She saw 56 shows in 1 week.
Wow.
Karen also says that she loved being in an audience of 12 in a damp cave, seeing someone I've never heard of. So sad for comedians starting out who don't have that.
That is where some of the gold lies. It's not in the stuff that you see on the telly. It's taking risks with. It's kind of like, this looks interesting. A man dressed as a gorilla sitting on a rocking chair for an hour. It's kind of like, those are the bits where you find the gold.
Lisa would like to learn more about what you were saying about improv and resilience.
Yes, there are some really good... I'll stick some links to the books. Improv led me on to a thing called VUCA, VUCA. And that is all about adaptability and resilience. And it's not about performance. It's about developing skills for lifetime learning that make you kind of future-proof your skill set. So there's a big overlap between improv and VUCA. But at early days, I don't know that much about VUCA, but that's what I'm learning at the minute.
Amazing. There you go. There's an example. Tony said that he once tried improv without success. I said, someone give me a celebrity, now give me a location. Someone call out the name of a household object, now give me 15 minutes of funny material.
It's improv.
Tony!
Improv is about failure. Improv is about just failing and failing and
that's why
failing.
I love it. Failing. Someone said, there's another term that says, be wrong and strong.
Yeah. It's getting. One of my students who I used to get said, "Oh, it's like a really positive way of not giving a thing," and it's like, yeah, that's one way of putting it.
We've got Lynn is talking about your running club, because you talked about running too.
Yeah.
About clearing your mind. I think I don't run, but I think having a way of clearing your mind is really important. Sometimes I walk around a table over and over again, or try and go out if I can. So Lynn says that your comic reaches into my chest and touches my heart.
Oh, thank you. I hope you don't mean that in a literal sense, because that's dangerous.
And weird. Wonderful. Phil would like to know, maybe this is a great plug for you guys. What's the best way to start learning improv?
The best way to start learning improv is to check out Comedysportz. Comedysportz is the group I'm with, and they offer intro courses, and it's a nice way to just get to know new people as well. You'll just be thrown in to do scenes and stuff, and we do the odd jam every now and then. You really have to stick yourself, just be daring and just stick yourself in there and have a go. It's not as serious, it's not as dangerous or as scary as it feels. It's a lot of fun.
Lots of stuff online. There are other improvisational places, but I can let you know that Comedysportz Manchester do have an online beginners course, but I don't know whether you're running it right now or not, but you can have a look. And
I think there's one going at the minute, yes.
So that is something that you can do. And you just do a beginner's course, learn bits about it. It's fun. Some people go off and never do it again. They just find it useful for their lives. Other people get hooked and can't stop doing it. So yes, wonderful. Well, thank you very much, John. I'm just going to see if there's anything else. Phil's happy about that because Fight Club is off. I think you're going to be great at improv, Phil. Take it. Start right now. Wonderful. We've got... There is also Comedy in the Dark, 4 comedians performing with the lights off. And also just to let you know that this is from Karen, that Leicester Comedy Festival starts on Wednesday this week and she's booked 13 shows. So there's plenty of stuff to watch online. So thank you very much, John. Everyone go wild for John Cooper.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being such a good sport and joining in with my game at the beginning, which you were very humble about. Because
I'll stick a link in the chat to me comic.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you, John. So if you want to find out more about John and his many talents, particularly the comic that he's doing, he'll give you the information in the chat box now.
Louise, just to let you know that Danny Pensive is actually booked for 28th of March as our guest comic, so John will be back again.
So yes. What is it, the 28th? 28th of March will be when you get to see Danny Pensive. Not John Cooper. No, he won't be there. Danny Pensive will be here. So there you go. So we've got an absolute loads of stuff coming up. Thank you very much to John. And again, just to echo what he's saying about adaptability, we've got that ability to adapt. If life is anything, it is change. It was 100% change. But we fool ourselves to believe that it's not. We think every day is the same. We think that we're going to have everything forever, that we're not going to die, that and we just fool ourselves. I don't know what it is about us that wants to soothe. Everything's going to be fine. Nothing will change. But if anything is true, change is true. Now, did we expect a global pandemic? No. But if it's not this, it's something else. Things change all the time. People change. Relationships with people change. So you've got no choice but to say yes and. Either that or to crawl into a ball and try and pretend it's not happening. I have tried that. It doesn't work. Balls only work for maybe 24 hours, possibly a week, no more than that. But you've just got to roll with. And I know you guys have because you're here. And I know that there are people. We've got loads of great events for you that Judith's putting in the chat box right now. There are things online. There are things to do. Try something new if you can. Do something amazing. You can, but don't feel pressured. Don't feel, oh, everyone's doing these amazing things. I've got to go out and take up carpentry or learn how to run. You know, you don't have to do any of them things and feel pressure. But what I'm saying is, it's like we've just got to roll with it. And the more you roll, the easier it is. Just go with it. Go with. And that's one way of doing it.
What you're saying is it's fine to roll into a ball as long as you keep rolling.
Yeah, exactly. Roll into a ball, keep rolling. But also lift your head up and see other balls who are in similar positions because you don't want to be your head down the whole time. So thank you very much for our amazing speakers, Steph Lonsdale and John Cooper. John will be back in his alter ego later in March, as Tony says. So thank you very much. We're going to have a moment's reflection now, but I'm going to say goodbye to YouTube for now. Goodbye.